to another Linux Gamecast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Steam brings the law to the wild, wild west. That is early access. But who will be the sheriff? Epic releases new Unreal demos. There's OpenGL4 in them, unlike Waffle. And Double Fine subtracts by 12. Begun. The wild speculation has.
Step aside of request, a new MMO has come trotting in. Bull. How do you like it? How do you like it? Yeah, because Postal gets an Unreal entry in the series. And Steam is now letting students' first games in, or so Robotex would have you believe.
Valve time rears its ugly head yet again. The Steam machines will have to wait for GDC 2015. With all the talk of early access rules, I'm actually impressed shit like Voice of Pripyat 3D is still allowed. And Gallium 3D will officially support Direct3D 9. But part of me wonders, is that just such a good thing?
TinyCube finally makes Linux debut. Hooray, more Unity games. So Soul Axiom makes with the Linux early access. Watch me! It feels good. Elite Dangerous goes online only. Yeah. They really fucked off the Kickstarter backers this time. So what makes you think we're going to get the Linuxes?
And that horrible, misguided voice of shirtlessness was Sandy Martin, the pride of the Canadian Armed Services. Long.
We're off to a good start.
Right. J-Man, Mrs. Cwang, as you know him, and all the way from Space Portugal, Pedro Martinez, and together with Shot Realm Dynamic watching us live, we form a bit of a cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, and everyone,
Sandy got some crab eye going there.
See what's going on. This week, right when I was editing the show Saturday, I was like, this bull's getting ready, to go. And Sunday it did. It made that fantastic noise of, what's that noise? What? You mute everything, and I was like, oh, time to stand up. And about that time, it went, thoom. Got a new bowl. You get these with the bowls. Yeah, you know what it looks like a sex toy, right? I got tons of these around the house. I don't tell people anything different. I was like, that's a sex toy. But after, you're pumping up a new bowl, one thing I realized, I would be complete rubbish at giving hand jobs.
Oh, good. Now you figure that out.
I know, sweetheart. What's up in your life, Olga?
Oh, God, new Pokemon. That's consuming more of my time than I care to admit. And also, apparently, NVIDIA driver developers are stalking me. Oh, wait, that was last week. Yeah, so...
Yeah, for me, I watched the entire first season of The Strain. It started off great. It was actually pretty decent at the start. And then it ended in the worst possible CGI I've seen since Season 3 of Game of Thrones.
Sad man.
I've been choking my kids as usual, doing my thing there and trying to get that stupid Flappy Goat achievement in fucking Goat Simulator. Fuck! Oh,
Sandy, your tassels fell off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Put some pasties on.
Well, I don't know about smoking or choking chitlins, but I know about smoking and choking the competition because that's schnoppy.
Oh, shit.
Look at this business. He's got unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth. Easy, stupid awesome control.
And much
battle.
like Sandy, he's not wearing his shirt.
He's awesome like that. He shits, leaves, and he fucks over the competition. 20% off, starting at $3.96 a month. And that's a fantastic deal, J-Man, as we have established multiple times. You're lying.
Bullshit. You are,
you're full of lies.
Gone as like
Judas.
Ah! But, if you put in our offer code LinuxGameCast, FTW, that's fuck titty winner. Not for the better. You can get 25% off that existing deal, which is pretty good. I mean, you don't get a domain name with that, but you already had one. You do get all the wonderful crap that Ven was going to tell you about.
Well, I mean, I just did, man. Plus that $100 Google AdWord offer. It is brilliant. Call them anytime. You'll get a hold of people. They might not be the right people, but they're always going to be live. It's brilliant, but this shirtless wonder here is kind of like our shirtless wonder of a horse, isn't it?
I know, right? Like that. Like the horse, it's still not showing up at CES. It's our Steam
Linux
Update. Valve time.
Valve time.
Yes. Apparently, Mr. Doug Lombardi, the VP of marketing at Valve, has talked to the guys at TechRadar.com, saying that there will be no Steam machines at CES 2015. When they dug in a little deeper, he actually revealed that there would be a big sort of announcement coming for GDC. So, yeah, I guess we're waiting until March.
Yeah, it's planned announcements. Right.
I don't know. I gotta look at this, and everyone was saying, "Oh no, no, CDS, CDS," and I say, "All right," but the entire thing was Valve's going, "Yeah, we're going to be at GDC, bro. What you gonna do about it?"
Yeah.
Yep.
They need to save that save for that special time and make it huge. We are talking about sex, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. GDC.
That's what a Steam machine is.
Yeah. Get some.
You're fired, Sandy. Steam update. Early access rules. Guidelines for developers. Check this out. Valve appears to recognize early access has burdened some customers, and it needs to clarify what the platform is really for. There's a couple of things in here. Don't launch an early access without a playable game. Well, that's been in there. Don't launch an early...
Earth 20 something something something.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Black Simulator. Don't launch an early access if you're done with development.
Overgrowth.
Right. Don't launch an early access if you can't afford to develop and a few more, and I really want to make you might be a redneck if jokes, because that's kind of what this reads as. For me, my first thing was, how about you only get 1 year on early access, because we do have a Duke Nukem Forever of Linux, a game that's been in development hell for 7 years, and it's going to stay on early access until it's forced out, and that's known as Overgrowth, Hippitus Hopitus. P-Man, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the entire early access thing, it was a great idea. It was a great concept. Like, get people early in the game development. You can actually help. It can actually help your game shape up to be moderately decent. But what we get with early access is developers abusing it and using it to save themselves from criticism that, oh, the game's not finished, so you can't criticize it. And that's bullshit. And Valve should be trying to actively correct that and not restate the rules that are already mentioned to developers themselves.
Well, Pedro, the problem is that Valve is trying to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have their open marketplace, but they're realizing that there's a lot of crapware being shoveled on, especially through their early access platform.
Yeah.
And so they're sort of they're really just kind of stamping their feet right now and saying, "No, we're not going to let you do it. No."
And the big thing too is like if Valve has to set up a sort of like a walled garden, like for a lot of these developers, like developers need to come in with a fucking plan, like have a set price for release day, and then like we've said this a number of times. Every one of us has said this. Like you have to price to sell when you're in early access. If you're in early alpha stage, you need to price to sell at early, like at that alpha. So like $2, for example.
Yeah. Well,
and then work your way up.
The idea is that you're paying a lower price and you're contributing beta testing or an alpha test. So you should be getting reduced cost. But then you have stuff like Overgrowth that are charging full price for the game. It's ridiculous.
Yep,
I know, and that's ridiculous.
And Steam really, despite their hullabaloo, is not really going to do anything about it because they're still making way too much money off it.
Yeah, and everyone with My First Unity, the game, can pretty much put it on early access. Speaking of which, 7 Days to Die. my first Unity game, sort of Minecraft clone ripoff, whatever you want to call it.
Was it Rust with zombies?
Is sort of, yeah. It is finally coming to Linux with Alpha 10. So I have to wonder, did the sales kind of drop off and now they want money from more people?
I don't know. Looking at this, they contacted us almost last year to this date saying, hey, will you tell everyone about our fantastic game? And so, when will the Linux port? Oh, we're working on it. It'll be out shortly. 1 year later. It's finally out. I don't know. I want to futz with it, but you definitely have to check out the big price on Brad here. $24.99 for early access.
Speaking of...
Speaking of charging way too much for beta testing.
No, in all fairness, I did read the reviews, and most of the reviews are people that had grown completely accustomed to there not being any type of anti-cheat mechanism in there, and they implemented that, and that flipped them the hell out. All of Rust. Sort of want, and I'm not too sure about this third-party EULA, Sadman.
Yeah, I got the game already. Like, I've actually been waiting for them to drop the Linux version, because what they did earlier was they're like, oh, we got a Linux version working, but you got to replace all the files in the Steam folder. And I'm like, why am I doing that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's why am I doing that? Why don't you actually put it in the proper upload and actually properly support Linux through Steam? And now, thank God, they finally added through the Steam client. So I still have to test this.
You're glowing with the creepy pale aura. I just realized that.
Development hitches and bullshit aside, I've seen Let's Plays of this game. I'm not particularly impressed.
Well, it's another one of these sandbox type first person games. We gotta on
Unity, no less.
And
Hi, Levi.
But you know, it's a good quality piece of software. Is Goat MMO Simulator. World of Warcraft, more like World of Bitchcraft. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It is MMO simulation so good you'll think it's real. And that may just be a tagline, but it's a true tagline because people were really pissed off. They found out that this is just an MMO simulator and you can't actually play with your friends. Although I did kill Sandy in the MMO. Yes. But we're tossing some chairs at that later this episode, so stay tuned for that.
Well, I like that it came out, and I was like, seriously, where's Goatsy Simulator?
Yep.
Oh, I thought that was Goat Simulator, like some sort of like insemination thing.
Also, yes.
Goat Simulator.
I completely misread that show. Where's the artificial goat inseminator?
The tiny of tiniest, the keep of keeps.
It's in the tiny keep, apparently.
Yeah, and speaking of Tiny Keep finally releases for Linux. And so the big premise of the game is, like, it's got a procedurally generated random dungeons. It's got permadeath, so if you die, like, yeah, you got to start anew.
So it's just another roguelike?
Yeah, it's pretty much another roguelike. And like they said in there, like, as one of the features, like, their environments are so beautiful. I'm like, yeah, maybe for a toddler, like, they look pretty beautiful, but it's not amazing. Like, the game needs the HUD still needs work, like a lot of work. Like, you look at your HP bar and it's just like this yellow line. I'm like, really? Okay. Yeah, you still need a little.
P-Man, you tickled it a bit, didn't you?
These guys did give us some keys earlier this week, didn't they?
They did. They were good on that, and I loaded it for a minute and realized there was no turning animation. Then P-Man's like, I played it. So I was like, here, you play it.
Yeah, Van gave me one of the beta keys, and I'm like, okay, that's a Unity game. Let's try it around. Oh, this is kind of nice. Oh, hey, when you hit things, you actually feel like you're hitting things. That's weird for a Unity game. Good on them. Yeah. But yeah, I like roguelikes. I like them a lot. And when you have an actual 3D roguelike with proper hit detection and proper visual/auditory feedback to the hits themselves, you're doing a good job because, hey, it's a roguelike. You already, in terms of mechanics, you don't get a whole lot besides permadeath and randomly generation.
Well, and speaking of like hit feedback, like it hits you right to the soul. And speaking of which,
you have no soul. But another thing I'm going to be saying there is James Brown. Wait, no.
He doesn't feel so good anymore.
Yeah, get some.
This is Soul Axiom, an early access game for how much these days?
Oh,
wow, $20.
Yeah, $20.
Oh man, we're on a roll with this relevant early access stuff.
Tell me about it, Sandman.
Which is pretty much like a BioShock, but it's based around the fact that it's reaching into your soul, and you learn things about yourself in this game through
what is the soul you speak of?
This soul? What is the soul?
You mean like the genre of music, like the James Brown?
Hurt me.
He's the hardest man in show business.
Hardest working motherfucking show
So
business.
what is this? From the studio that brought you Master Reboot comes a new first-person sci-fi adventure game. Prepare yourself for intrigue and danger on your mission to unlock your identity, your story, your mystery. Apparently the only mystery I have for this is it's early access and $20 mothering dollars.
Well, I mean, like, based on the screenshots in the trailer, it looks good, but I mean, we've all been burned by early access, so let's see what happens when this game actually drops, if it ever drops.
Mm-hmm. So I gotta ask, is this a first-person walking simulator with puzzles and a Tron-like aesthetic done in Unity?
I don't know. Well, let's see.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it kind of has that Unity aesthetic. Like,
because if it is, it's just about the same as 90% of every other game on Steam right now.
Like, the models definitely look like it's Unity models. But like Jordan said, like the trailer, like how they did the trailer using a lot of like the in-game scenes, like it definitely sold it for me, but like I'm gonna have to, like he said, I'm gonna wait until it gets on a full release.
And so this next game, I completely misread the title. I thought it was going to be Stalker, but Pedro, you're going to tell me.
Yeah, I wanted it to be Stalker so bad, but no, this is Voice of Pripyat 3D. They say it's a 3D first-person shooter in a post-apocalyptic world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Them models, jeez.
Zombies, anomalies, huge maps, intense real-time battles.
I'm having some hardcore
what it is,
CS 1.5 flashbacks.
It's terrible. It's absolutely fucking horrible.
So was this written in Gold Source or what?
I have no idea which engine this is. All I know is that it's $9.99 and it looks far too overpriced for what it is. But the real gem in this game is the early access box. You see, why early access? We are full of ideas how to improve our game, but we want to make it more comfortable for players. Comfortable.
So our small indie
decided to give you an opportunity to become part of the development process. Purchasing our game in early access will not only allow you to bring your own ideas to it, but it will also grant us resources to improve the project a lot faster. Let's make something
by maybe porting it to a real engine.
Okay, now the real gem of this, like everything else in our show notes, you'll be able to find this once this is posted. You only need a processor to run this. No OS, nothing.
Yeah.
It's no. You do need some RAM and a broadband internet connection.
It's a
obviously
shitty.
Mesa is a fucking.
So I can just take a processor, some RAM, and some tape.
No. You load the game up in a floppy disk and then you boot it.
Where my flippy flop is at.
The entire game is just a shitty
don't talk about flippy
death
floppies,
match in and around Chernobyl. It's terrible. Do not give these people money. In fact, go onto the Steam store and report that shit because it's completely busted.
Speaking of not giving people money. Oh, this. I love how this game tries to sell itself too. Basically, this is Flappy Bird, but it has one additional control in that you can shoot. And supposedly, this is revolutionary. This is Robotex.
Price to sell at 60% off, 1.19.
Oh, okay. Well, to be fair, you can get that for the same amount of money you'd spend on like a bottle of Coke. I would say go get the Coke. You're probably gonna enjoy it a lot more than this. This honestly looks like some guy in like first year computer science is like, I'm gonna make a video game, and he suckers his friend in visual arts to go create some backgrounds for it. And good. And dig those system requirements too, man.
Yeah, processors. Yeah.
No.
Yes,
It will only work if you have a Core 2 Duo die and like a DIMM of RAM, and you stick them side by side, and that is sufficient to play the game.
You have to say the proper incantation.
Do not. This is so dumb. This is baby's first video game on Steam. At least it's appropriately priced. Apparently at $3.29 Canadian, they had to give it 60% off to make me.
I have to see some video of this masterpiece of.
Oh my god!
Yeah, this is like intro to Java programming 101. Oh, I can make a game.
Look what I can do.
Reviews
I
and
can
mix.
make a game. Let's put it on Steam because that's what everyone does nowadays.
If it worked for Ubisoft, it can work for us. Hey,
Game contains two basic controls, many puzzles, and lots of guns and enemies, aka 12 guns and more than 20 monsters. Brilliant. Okay, let's wrap.
Put some clothes
we've
on the
spent
horse.
way too much time on this game already, more so than the actual developers have. So coming up next, Double Fine drops some weight, and Elite.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, now with the horse stabled back in its place, let's get into some news. Sven,
Oh, the sky's falling.
Poison
dropping,
Girls.
It's dead, everything.
dropping some weight.
No! GameIndustry.biz reports this, bit of an exclusive, because if you go through all the other sites, this is the one they reference. Double Fine loses 12 staffs. Then why aren't you out looking for them, Tim? Do you not love them anymore?
Every time I clap my head, a child in Africa dies.
But the studio is optimistic about, basically, they had a game that was in the works, and the people that were financing that said, yoink. So being fiscally responsible for once, yes, we're talking about that. They decided to stem the bleeding, much like they did with Space Base.
Yep.
I'm just looking forward to, everyone's like, oh, Double Fine's done for, it's dead. This is all because of Space. No. Trust me, at the end of the day, take that shot. I will take this fiscally responsible Double Fine over the one that raised $3.3 million out of a $400,000 stretch goal for that game. You know what I'm talking about, and only managed to release half of it. I like this new Double Fine.
Porkinage.
Porkinage.
Porkdage.
It's great. The title means something because they broke it in half, and then they gave you half.
P-Man.
Yeah, at this point, they don't even disclose which game they were working on, and why the hell were they even doing something for a publisher? Because Tim Schafer can just go on Kickstarter, show his face,
I think
and he'll make millions.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, to Double Fine's credit, they've been pumping out games like nobody's business lately.
Yeah. They go on
like
Kickstarter and they get money.
Yeah.
People just shower them with money.
Sandy.
well, not only that, but like,
would you say it's a golden shower?
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah. But like, also that, like, they've been busy porting the games over to Linux, like. And then plus all the new titles that they've been coming out with, like Massive Chalice, Space Base, like they've been super busy. Yeah, Space Base, the amazing game. But like you obviously can't have a hit with every freaking game. You know what I mean?
Well, I honestly think the last hit they had was Psychonauts, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hit. It was Psychonauts.
They've put out good games since, like The Cave was excellent. I love that game.
Yeah, The Cave was pretty
good. That was an awesome game.
But maybe it's time to tighten the reins, because we're seeing higher quality games from incredibly small studios with fractions of the budget that are not sitting there going, we need to be in San Francisco because that is a cheap place to live. But enough of that.
It's dangerous.
But it's almost a dangerous elite level.
Let's get dangerous.
And now apparently there's no offline mode, which is phenomenal. And this is the same guys that said, like, fuck Linux because Linux is all about pirating. This is the same game that raised $2.46 million US with 25,000 backers. And they're now like, you know what? We're going to make this online only. And then this first article from geek.com was brought up by Yoinked by Empty. And then they later did an interview with Eurogamer saying that, well, when we originally did the Kickstarter, we had we were very clear about the vision and, to make the phenomenon new to the sequel Elite. And
they were clear with the vision, but they
did not specify.
David Braben himself. No, he actually went on to say when I think it was in one of the Kickstarter goals
it was
that
either
they got
a Twitter thing or an AMA that he said.
Yeah, it was one of those. David Braben himself said that yes, you will be able to play without an internet connection. What the fuck happened to that?
Well, the biggest thing I'm reading from this business right now, since I haven't had a chance to interject on this, is he says, in retrospect, we should have shared the fact that we were struggling with this aspect with the community, to which I say, think. And J-Man will finish this little bit, but unless it's persistent online world, if you can't build your own worlds and all that, the longevity of the game is completely in question, I think.
Yep.
Well, no. On the Reddit thread where MT found this, they were saying, "Well, I play the original Elite on my laptop, 13 years since it got released." That is game longevity. Because of this whole persistent world nonsense that they engineered the game to have, offline mode is essentially impossible. They should have made that very clear from the get-go. Lack of communication from the developer is a huge problem that a lot of crowdfunded games are having lately. Look at even Space Base, though I think that was
Carmageddon.
Carmageddon, yes. Oh no, we got some
Skullgirls.
Oh, I actually we got some brand new concept art from Carmageddon, so they're working
in T-shirts.
But again, having online only DRM creates really invested communities, don't they? Look at Diablo 3 and any other game that had, or the new SimCity game.
Well, I mean, just
need
ask
online
all
only
the people
DRM.
that are still playing Matrix Online. Wait.
But yeah, what Jordan was saying is actually true. Allowing people, was it Jordan or no? It was you, Van. Allowing people to create their own sort of persistent worlds does bring some longevity to a game. Look at Neverwinter Nights. That game was released in 2003. It's still going. There are still 1,000 active servers with players actually playing it. It's
that's kind of because Neverwinter Nights 2 was a piece of trash.
Yeah, it really was. But Obsidian.
But let's get a bit Unreal. Unreal has some new demos for Unreal Engine 2000, or not Unreal Engine 2004, Unreal Engine 4. Thinking of Unreal Tournament. So they say outright you need to be using the proprietary drivers for AMD and NVIDIA, which I actually think is a bad idea, because considering how borked the FGLRX drivers are. So you should at least try to target Radeon and Radeon SI, although you don't really get OpenGL4, which is a requirement for the Unreal games.
Not all.
But Ben, not all of them. But Ben, you got excited when you saw that racing demo, didn't you?
I saw the Speed Racist game up there, and it clocked in 3.99 megabombs, and loaded it. I was running 330...
343, you said?
343. And it was this fantastic light show of like, what the hell's going on? So I finally beat the latest beta drivers in submission. Then I launched it with the OpenGL 4 tag, which P-Man's going to talk about in a minute. And everything's awesome sauce. Performance, there's going to be some tweaking that's going to be needed there, but it was beyond playable. But
it works great.
Tell me about that OpenGL 4.
Yeah, like Jordan was saying, OpenGL 4 is not yet available on the open source drivers. It's almost working properly with the R600 cards, like the APU 7000 graphics chips and below that, because the non-APU 7000 already use Radeon SI, and Radeon SI is still missing quite a few extensions for OpenGL 4. Also, the Intel drivers do not support OpenGL 4 yet, because as great contributors as Intel are to Linux, they can't figure out their drivers. But yeah, with the latest NVIDIA beta, I remember trying it with the previous beta, like Ven was saying. I tried the Cave when I first got the new PC setup.
Not to be confused with the Double Fine game.
Yes, it's the Cave Light Show demo. I tried it, and the colors were all freaky. It's like you dropped some acid before you started it up. But with the new beta, everything works smoothly. And if you use the OpenGL 4, you can actually get some proper OpenGL acceleration.
Sandy, what did you try them on?
I tried it on the Evergreen drivers for the open source for this tower down here. And obviously, I saw that afterwards. It's like, do not use open source drivers. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys fucking suck. But even though the Evergreen driver supports OpenGL 4.2, so which would make sense why it should run better. But yeah, I guess proprietary is better. But like when you run it on SteamOS, it actually runs really well. And I got the 443 driver on there right now. And
343?
Yeah, 343. Yeah, that's it. And I got the 343 driver on there, and it runs phenomenal. Like, I have no issues. I ran the Cave and what's that racing one again?
I think they just called it racing game.
Yeah, racing game. Yeah, I ran those two, and they ran fine. Like,
but really, it's gotten to the point now where this engine is basically cooked. I want to see some games built on it. I'm sick of all these Unity games on Steam. I want some Unreal 4 games on the market made with this business, because the demos work stupidly well.
Well, maybe this next thing might help get some games on the Linuxies.
Speaking of open source drivers, this comes from the freedesktop.org Seekit, and it's Direct3D 9 has been added to mainline Mesa. It won't probably hit until distro starts supporting Mesa 10.5 or 10.6, but it's in there, and what this does is basically provide a patched version. If you're playing Wine games with a specific version of Wine that's patched to allow games to use Direct3D, if you have an AMD card and some Intel, I think it's the Iris Pro that support Direct3D, if you're using one of those, you can play games with almost native performance, because it doesn't have to translate Direct3D calls to OpenGL, so it should help performance.
Well, one thing I was reading in there is you had this moon theory that it might be a dangerous thing, to which J-Man replied.
Oh, yeah, no. So what Pedro was talking about in the show notes was, he was saying he was worried that because you can get now near-native DirectX performance through Wine using Mesa drivers, some people will say, oh, no, we can just port using Wine, blah, 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 because now people can get near-native performance on the open source AMD drivers, because that will alienate 85% of the Linux gaming market, who are all on NVIDIA cards. And their Mesa sucks. So,
yeah.
I think your fears are sort of baseless in that regard.
Yep,
but
nope.
then again, these are the same developers that have been releasing shitty wine wrappers and EON wrappers on
Well,
Steam.
we only got the one Eon game, so
Yeah, just the one.
and the feedback pretty much put the kibosh on that as sort of
Yep.
you think it'll still probably be used for Mac games a lot because people on Macs don't really complain about that kind of stuff. But
because
for
people
Linux,
on Macs are idiots.
Well, and again, like SDL, OpenGL is your friend, cross-platform, do it. You know, like, and especially if with a lot of the proprietary drivers, like AMD, pay attention to the fucking open source drivers. Like, you should be taking cues from them. Like, do it.
You know,
Like,
those
it just
drivers
makes you
would
wanna
just
go
drive
postal,
me postal.
doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Now with 4 times the bull. So this is not much. This is just
No.
a tweet from Running with Chickens, the official Twitter account for these assholes who are putting out the latest Postal Redux game. And they say PC, Mac, and Linux because Macs and Linux aren't personal computers.
Mhm.
Mac and Linux aren't operating systems, and PCs are. They say the releases for PC, Mac, Windows, Mac, and Linux are confirmed with more platforms to follow in the future. So, if you want some good old fashioned Uwe Boll type mayhem on your Linux box, you can get it, and they're building it on Unreal Engine 4. So
Unreal Engine 4 is going to be nice. Never got into the whole Postal series. I played Postal 2 when it came to the Linuxes.
Yeah.
And I watched that movie that no one should ever speak of again. Wow.
There is no
The movie never happened.
Proving
I'm
Uwe
back.
Boll can actually screw up something that rich with material.
Yep.
yeah. All right, but imagine a world.
Oh, this thing.
Where Venstone narrates trailers.
Yes, ZAD, which I may have done a trailer or two in the past. You never know. Report 16. Couple of new things coming in this business. Tell me about them, J-Man. Never had them.
So this is the latest status update from Zero AD. They're putting out these development reports, much like the Dolphin guys, much like the guys at Aspire for porting Civilization Beyond Earth. And so they sort of discuss. Well, actually, they're putting out a call for help.
Mhm.
They need programmers and they need artists. They anyone who has Blender shops can go ahead and apply. They've also actually this is something they mentioned at the bottom of their article. They've actually implemented save game support for AI games, so you can sort of pick up where you left off if you're playing against the computer if you have no friends like me.
So, can you actually pit an AI against another AI and just watch?
I don't know. I haven't spent all that much time with the game.
Yeah,
Because
and-
that would be interesting.
That would until the computers get so
Sandy
smart.
being
they're
the
able to
amazing military
hijack nuclear
strategist
missile
that you are.
silos and
Well, have you played ZAD?
strategist. right.
Actually, I have, and with the AI versus AI, I'm pretty sure you can't do that. And with the latest update that they had, I'm pretty sure you still can't do that. Trying to remember off the top of my head right now because I'm kind of a little tipsy.
All right,
And,
enough of
yeah.
that.
But-
That's a thing.
But like I said, if you dear listeners know anyone who wants to contribute to a
Yeah,
very cool open source project via art or via programming, forward this. to
and
them.
they do
The link
listen. I
will
mean,
be in the show
that's
notes.
why I ended up doing some trailer work for them, because they said, we need somebody to do voice trailers. And I said, hi. Stop recording. They're like, job.
And their pennies dropped immediately.
Indeed. So coming up next, we go to fantasy worlds and blow stuff up with microwaves.
Where
Coming up
bah
next.
means yes.
Iron Forge, more like Iron Borge. Garrosh Hellscream, more like Garrosh Bitch Scream. World of Warcraft, more like, let's just leave it at that. This is Goat MMO. It's from Coffee Sane Studios. built on the Unreal 3 engine, and it's basically your favorite game, Goat Simulator, now with quests in a high fantasy world. It's just like Skyrim, except you're a microwave. You can pick it up for $9.99 if you don't own Goat Simulator already. But if you own it, it's free. It got downloaded last week. You have access to it. It's fantastic. And it faces the high Chairquisition. 1 chair means that it's shit. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. 4 chairs means that it's awesome. So awesome, in fact, that Sandy will take his shirt off and rub his nipples at you. And of course, we have our categories: Odoo, Mixed with the Working, Shiny Sounds, Controls, and Fun. So let's kick this off. Dova Goat, Dova Goat, Dova Goat, Dova Goat. Mixed with the Working. Come on.
Mixed with the Working. You know, it runs well enough. Not exactly what I would call optimized, but it's still perfectly playable. Like Goat Simulator itself. Not having any luck talking with other players, though. I mean, that kind of depressed me. It's kind of like they can't even see me in the online world. And the chat is always filled with the same mothering players. There's nothing against Coffee Stain Studios. I just wish more people were playing this fantastic online experience. So, this is on the Ubuntu 14.04 LTS Dual 770 octo-core box of business. I want to give it a 2 chairs just because thinking some of the online functionality is missing a bit.
See, I had no problem with the online functionality. I was playing with Sandy earlier today. And on the NVIDIA 670 superclocked AMD 1090Ti box of By My Foot over here, it ran perfectly on Fedora 2064-bit, so I gotta give it 4 cheers.
Yeah, on my end, with the GTX Strix 970 and the 8370E AMD 8-core processor on Aurora 2064-bit, it ran fine, except that the original game used to load a hell of a lot faster on the calculator than the new MMO thing does.
It's compiling shaders.
Well, it has to connect to the server, Pedro. It's a full online experience.
Still far too long.
Well, for me on the Ubuntu 14.04 and with the octo-core 8350 and 6670 AMD open source drivers, it's got a whole 3 chairs because of the ridiculous load times.
All right, so that's 3 cheers for Mixed with the Working. Sandy, was that your Carl from Aqua Teen impression?
Yeah, actually, it was.
It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. The break it down in the parentheses. All right, up next, Shiny and Sounds.
Okay. 'Tis no Skyrim, my lord, but considering the short time of development, I'm going to give this one a pass. On forethought, all right, for an online-only MMO, it looks pretty good. Sound was more of an afterthought. I put a full on into this before I went, oh yes, my headphone organs are laying over here hanging on the mic arm. Better put those on, your standard run-of-the-mill. I don't even know. It doesn't have the same smell, but it had the same sound. I'll give it a 3, mainly because the sounds aren't terribly amazing. There's no satisfying like booms and crashes, and the background noise is very Rinfair without very, very sad people.
Much with the original Goat Simulator, this is fairly middle of the road. The soundtrack was actually, it got me a couple of good times, but beyond that, fairly mediocre in terms of visual and auditory acumen. That's really all I have to say about that. If you want to hear more about my thoughts, you can go watch the original Goat Simulator review on the YouTube so that we get all that sweet, sweet ad revenue. 2 cheers.
Yeah, with the 970, if I turned multi-sample anti-aliasing on, I would get random artifacts like
white blocks in trees because they're made of what the bridge was.
Yep, precisely. That's the one. But that's my fault because they did kind of warn me that turning MSAI on was prone to causing issues with the game, but still it's pretty bad that I have a bitching graphics card now and I can't push the graphics all the way up because of that tiny little thing.
Yeah, no, the ZX Spectrum has those awesome 8-bit graphics. It's pretty.
Yeah, so for me, 2 chairs.
See, now my big thing is I love reading what comes up in the chat window because it was so reminiscent of World of Warcraft, like every other MMO out there, Final Fantasy 11. Like it was solid. The music, it was okay. It was pretty good. It definitely reminded me of a lot of MMOs, but it was definitely brought that MMO feel to it. So they did a very good job emulating that they simulated that very well. And so I'm going to give it a whole whopping 4 chairs.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Up next is Control, then.
This is your standard MMO lot. Believe it or not, special abilities were actually laid out logically. And P-Man will talk more about this, but you can remap that business. Worked as expected, along with the gerbil. Didn't have any issues. One thing with especially Unreal 3 engine games is you don't have to spend 45 fuck-mothering months adjusting your gerbil sensitivity. Did it in a few clicks. It was stupidly low at first, and I finally jacked it up. It worked right, didn't have to smooth anything out. So, I'll give this what it deserves. 4 chairs.
Yeah, it's the same old Goat Simulator controls you know and love.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, so, I don't know, 4 chairs.
Yeah. Can't really complain here. Like Van already mentioned, you can rebind the keys, so if you're like me and you're left-handed and you like to play with the directional arrow keys, you can do that. It'll actually remember your key settings, so that's good. 4 chairs.
And it works amazing on the controller. Get my Doritos. Yes, and it does a fluid control job. Like, you can remap all the keys and everything. Like, it just does a fluid job with the controls. I wish Sanctum series was like this. 4 chairs.
So what's the control job? Is it when someone like ties you down and you does the Konami code on your
fluid
balls?
Control job is a cover band of mine.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's 4 chairs for controls. And finally, our subjective category. Fun. Ben, did you have one?
You know,
Get the fun.
this has to be the loneliest MMO I've ever played. It almost feels like I'm playing a single-player RPG. Huge features are missing, like a life meter and a proper crafting system. And don't get me started on how busted the online part of this MMO is. I can clearly see other players, but we're unable to communicate. What? Come on, Coffee Stain.
That's coming in the next patch.
I'm not the only one having these issues. There are dozens of people on the forums complaining about the same thing. So, for fun, best I can do on this is 2 chairs. Maybe it'll be in the patch. Maybe they'll upgrade it and get some of this sorted out.
You know, this game broke my roommate. He was watching me play this for a while, and he just could not stop laughing. According to him, because he's a fairly big WoW player, it basically got everything spot on in terms of like all the MMO tropes and all the chat window stuff. I was sufficiently entertained. Sandy? What are you doing in the show notes? You're moving.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Stop
I
it.
didn't touch anything.
Fucking stop it.
Control Z,
man.
Sandy. Control Z.
Control Z because he's Canadian.
I didn't do anything.
Right.
We say Z here. Again, Coffee State, like all the quests are hilarious. I love the fact that if you walk, so guys, what were you playing as? I was the microwave.
Tank.
I was the magician.
I was the archer. Hunter.
Yeah, no, I love the microwave. Everything it touches just catches fire. It's brilliant. And it can explode itself, which is even better. Yeah, no. Once again, Coffee Stain puts way too much effort into a game that has no business being this fun. They clearly put in a lot of work just to nail down the MMO feel, and it shows. So I was entertained. I'll give that 3 cheers.
You know, I was a very big critic of this game in its original incarnation, but now, well, okay, before I get into that, the DLC, much like the game itself, is not particularly fun in the true sense of the word, but the social phenomenon that spun up around it, both the original game and the DLC, it is very much fun. Namely, the sheer amount of butthurt people when they realized it was not actually online. It was amazing. For that reason alone, it gets 3 cheers.
I'm not impressed that they didn't have the inventory system sorted out, because 2 of the achievements that you can get in this new update don't work. Because with the T-Rex, the old goat, you can't bring it over to the castle because this whole situation with the inventory system. So, like, I'm not quite impressed with that. So you can't get 2 achievements out of that. I am happy, however, that there is no fucking Flappy Goat in here. So,
I ran into Flappy Goat in like the starting town.
oh, I hate Flappy Goat. Oh, I hate that fucking minigame so much. I spent hours on that fucking minigame. So I'm going to have to give it a whole 3 chairs.
All right, so that rounds up to 2 chairs for the fun, and totaling everything, it is 2 chairs for Goat MMO Simulator: The Reckoning, Wrath of the Lich Pandarian Draenor. So, gentlemen, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. At the end of the day, this is a brilliant just win for Coffee Stain. Yep. Goat Simulator was just a fuck around project that they did, and people were like, we really want to play this. Then they dropped this directly in our fucking face organs. Full free sauce, no issues. 6 months later, here it is. And they genuinely managed to troll people. It was fantastic reading the forums. I did make the mistake of, I knew it wasn't online when I first started playing it. But I was like, I'm going to try to play this as an MMO. That lasted 3 seconds. I was like, oh, look, 1 destroys everything. We're good. Ran around, just mayhem, madness. Some of the quests, one of my favorite quests was hug 10,000 trees. Almost tempted to try that one out. And trust me, by the end of this year, someone will have that achievement. Lovely, and they made it free. I guess at the end of the day, take that shot. If you've not already bought this game, buy it. This is free. This is just extra things. If this isn't your thing, the Goat Simulator has no business being retardedly, stupidly fun as it is, but it completely is. It will give you a mild chubby on that alone, J-Man.
Yeah, if you're a WoW fan, or if you play any MMO, this game will just have a big, stupid smile on your face the entire fucking time you're playing it. It is just good fun. I enjoyed it for what it was. Again, Coffee Stain put in a ton of work. It is like a full-on MMO simulator. You can go up to level 100. I like the fact that you just randomly level up, because if you just stand around, you get experience points. I like the fact that there is a quest that forces you to eat Doritos and drink pop.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that you're a fucking walking microwave with 2 legs and like an extension cord that can grip onto things. It's stupid fun. You don't turn your brain off and just enjoy yourself. I'd pick this game up if you had already owned it.
Even if you didn't like the original Goat Simulator, for me personally, I kind of got what they were trying to do, but I didn't find it fun. But this one, they kicked up the satire of the whole MMO everything, even moderately related to an MMO, they make fun of in this one, and it's genius. It's absolute freaking genius. So if you bought the game back then and you didn't enjoy it, you ended up uninstalling it, like I did. Install it again, trust me. It's worth it for even just 1 hour or two of digging around in a pretend MMO world. Genius. Congrats, Coffee Stain. Amazing.
Coffee Stain, you did a great job with this new update. The big thing I have is I would like to see Sanctum 2 properly updated. You know, like, because the game is starting to get more and more fluid. Like, obviously, it's not perfectly optimized. Ryan, you should be helping him with that. But the big thing is like, this game runs phenomenal. It does a great job. I want to see Sanctum 2, like, the controls and everything done just like Goat Simulator and this update. That's all I got to say.
All right, so coming up next, hate mail featuring stalking, Steam boxes, and sucking. Hey, like the show? Check us out at LinuxGameCast.com. Click on the podcast button for RSS feeds, our wall of shame, and donato buttons. There's also an Amazon affiliate link, because making this shit is hella expensive, yo. Speaking of which, if you like kicking us somewhat stinky, a recurring donation gets you a producer's credit at the end of the show, and a one-time donation gets you into the super ultra mega chocolatey fudge Linux Gaming Super Squad. Broke as shit. Can't steal your parents' credit cards? No problem. Spread the word on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and YouTube. And remember, kids, fuckity bye.
Hey, you. Yeah, you, Adrian. It's hate mail time. Again, quick reminder
Fucking Adrian.
for everyone out there who would like to get in touch with us. Go on over to LinuxGameCast.com, push the contact button on the nav bar, fill out your name, fill out your email, give us your subject and a message, and prove you're smarter than Ven's CAPTCHA thing, and we'll be happy to feature your thing, unless, of course, you're trying to promote your game that's on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, Steam Greenlight, or whatever. If you are, remember, include a demo, alpha, beta, prototype, whatever you want to call it. Just send us something.
And if you're sending us some keys, watch the show. We need 3.
Yes. If
Sometimes.
you do send some keys in the contact notes, 3. We require 3 or 4 if you want to help Sandy out. I mean, he's in
I
Canada.
got 5 kids to feed.
Exactly. All right.
yeah,
So let's kick this off already. So, I last week I had mentioned I had an issue with the latest NVIDIA beta drivers. Oh God, I'm sinking. Jeez. No. So I'd mentioned that one of my monitors was stuck in 800 by 600 mode. Although I could switch it to 640 by 480 if I wanted an extra retro feel. So lo and behold, Monday morning there is a comment from Mr. Aaron Plattner, and he says, Jordan, when your 1080p monitor was running at 800 by 600, did you see a message in xorg.0.log about the EDID being invalid? The newer driver has stricter checks about invalid detailed timings in the EDIDs. That seems to be affecting some monitors.
And
you can try turning it off by using the ignore EDID checks option. And lo and behold, it fucking worked.
Well, first of all, Jordan wrote him back directly, and he was like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I'm fuck-mothering Jordan Cwang.
No, and lo and behold, this guy is senior developer in terms of in respect to driver engineering at NVIDIA. So kudos.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Wait. Driver devs that actually know what they're talking about?
No. That's what I was looking at this. When I first saw that
no
name,
software engineer knows a damn thing about their own software.
Aaron Plattner, and I thought to myself,
CIL,
I said,
and
wait a
follows our
minute, because I'm about to mute everyone. I said, well, that dude seems to know his NVIDIA business. And why did that ring? Yeah, senior software engineer at NVIDIA. And not only that, but he's pretty much the guy for the Linux drivers. Right. Try that with AMD. I mean, we had a complaint on the show. It was not publicly announced. We didn't do a campaign about it. He was like, oh, yeah, I was watching the show. And he was like, oh, right, I know how to fix that. Here, let's jump in and explain that. And that is why I will always, yes, I love open source. Support, man. NVIDIA has been showing us love sauce with that, P-Man, what were we saying?
Yeah, it's quality of service. And that's something that AMD does not have. The open source graphics are great because it's not AMD.
And we're not some
working on
ginormous show.
Yep, we're actually a pretty tiny show, and Mr. Aaron Plattner himself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he watches our little dog and pony show. That's
Yep.
pretty.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah,
and specifically,
last
he
week-
stalks me apparently. So
Yep. Last week when Jordan actually mentioned that he was having issues with the new beta driver, I'm like, okay, but I'm on Cora 20. That's based on Fedora 20, so if he's having issues, I should be having issues, and one of the monitors is also plugged into the HDMI, and it's working fine. Now I know that it's not to do with the GPU, but the monitor itself. That's
yeah,
cool.
no. Well, it basically more or less confirmed what I was suspecting, but having like an actual solution provided from the NVIDIA driver dev was nice. Moving on from George. Tell him about the rabbits, Lenny.
Okay, George says, Ven said that he thinks Steam boxes are nope. That made me wondering, what about the Steam controller ? Just because for the whole year I was thinking I'm not going to get a controller because controllers are racist. Wait, because if the Steam one word, I'll just get
Arrives.
Arrives.
Nuclear
Arrives,
vessels.
never use it. Slash them. Oh, again, you've just here's a dice. Here's one thing I would say. I would definitely not hold your breath, organ, on the standard aerial controller. We've already determined that we will be getting torpedo controllers if we get anything, J-Man.
Yeah, my main issue about the Steam controller is it started out as this really cool thing. It was like, oh, it's a ubiquitous.
You got to back
controller.
off that desk. I'm getting seasick.
Ugh.
I mean, you were
All right.
shitting.
It was. Are you sure? Up and down and up and down.
Giggity.
No, it was this really cool idea. They're trying something incredibly ambitious, which was a unified controller that would work on PC, that would work for strategy games, that work for first-person shooter games, puzzle games, platformers, all that shit. And that was really, really cool. But as we started seeing newer and newer revisions of the controller, it started getting more and more neutered to the point where it just looks like any other controller that you might pick up at your local Best Buy or electronics boutique or what have you. So I guess creating a universally capable PC gaming controller may have been a bit too ambitious a goal.
Yeah, but the problem there lies mostly with the devs themselves. The guys at Valve, at least the ones working on the Linux client, have worked SDL2 into the Steam Big Picture mode. So if the devs were using SDL2 as they should, every single game out there would pick up on whatever random-ass controller you happen to have. But as it currently stands, they either use SDL2 and support everything, or they just support the Xbox controller, or they support nothing at all, even though they claim to. Unity.
It's full controller support.
But yeah. Unfortunately, the Steam machines do seem to be getting pushed back even more, and now Doug Lombardi has confirmed that they will only be showing new stuff at GDC. So we'll see. We'll be around. Hopefully we'll be around in March.
What
I'll
are we
let you
going to
know.
see new?
No, we won't. We're all going to
Come on.
die
Like-
horribly.
The big thing is like, why would they even go back to CES? It's like, hey, look at the same shit you saw last year, minor some variations. Oh, look, the controller's different. You know what I mean? Like, the big thing is like they have to do it in one big thing at GDC. Like, it's got to be like the controller. Yes, like they've changed it way too many times, and they've become very monetized with how they're going to be doing the controller. And
Monetized? I think you accidentally
yeah,
affirmed.
that's right. I'm saying
Yes.
it. I said it. And you know, like,
Monetized.
and they even advertised this. Like, I thought they would have been, you know, like advertising this more because, like, they show this off in every game for like controller support because this is
Okay, general
like-
consensus. Anybody have fuck all idea what Sandy's on about right now?
No clue. Let's move on to the next thing.
Sounds like an idea.
Sounds good. So Lucas says, hello. This is Lucas from Artifacts Mundi. We are a casual game developer from Poland with more than 20 games on our portfolio, and they're all hidden object games. We've created some very successful series like Nightmares from the Deep, Enigmatis, or Grim Legends. You probably know all of this already since you covered one of our games before, Nightmares from the Deep. We even threw chairs at it. That's true. Maybe you would be interested in trying another one. I can provide you with a review key and also extra keys for any contest giveaway you may want to host. But you can contact me at Best Lucas Slipco Artifacts Mundi.
So show of hands here. Who actually likes like hidden object point and click games?
Honey? Honey? No, she's asleep.
That's Pedro's sex life in a nutshell, by the way.
My response to this is, you know, we like you guys. Good on you, Lon, for, you know, getting your bit over to Linux, but you got to come up with a game outside of your safety zone for me. I mean,
So something maybe in the danger zone.
danger zone? Something that doesn't involve click grid clicking. We don't necessarily make fun of you. We do definitely say that you know what you're doing, but your games are the same fucking mechanic with a new coat of paint on it. There's nothing original in them. But I do hear Nori enjoys them, right?
Yeah, very much so. I was actually looking at the Steam store the other day to see if Artifacts Mundi had like a pack that included all of their games, so I could buy it for Nori, so she'd have something to keep her entertained for the next 2 days.
Because
she
apparently you're not doing
devours the things. No, seriously, she goes through those things stupidly quick. She's very good at them. She loves the entire genre. So yeah, if you want to send me a key, it's Pedro at LinuxGameCast.com. Just send it to me. I'll give it to Nori. She'll kick the shit out of those tires.
Yes.
Yes.
You really like those point and click grid games?
Yeah, I do. Like, I've always enjoyed. Like, I grew up with the point and click games, so like King's Quest and Space Quest and a lot of that shit. for
King's
me.
Quest requires thought though, because it actually wants you to apply logic and thinking and critical skills to puzzles.
But even like the newer games, like fuck, I can't even remember. But
Like,
anyways,
fuck
like
the
the
game.
point and click
Big
games.
fan of that game.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. But like a lot of those games, like I always enjoy those games because they do give an
Jordan, you
story.
know who he looks like? He looks like the chief head bureau guy from the Spider-Man movies.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
All right.
No. That's J.K. Simmons, and that guy's fucking awesome. He's,
And on that bombshell, cue the music, because you can always find us at LinuxGameCast.com. Live, click on that podcast info button. Find a few ways to kick us a few shekels, because we like that value for value model. If you're entertained, amused slightly, give us a few quid, click on our Amazon links and all that business. Become part of Chat Realm or the Super Squad. They are valid options. I'm Vin Stone at Vin Stone on the Twitter nets, plus Vin Stone on the G Pluses.
I'm sinking.
The
And also
incredible,
Jordan Swung. You
edible,
can find
shrieking
me
Cwang.
at the Burning Pool or plus Jordan Swung on Twitter and Google Plus respectively.
I'm melting.
I am doing no such thing, and I am Pedro Mateos. You can find me at unaccounted4 on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google Plus.
I'm drunk. My name is Sandy Martin. You can get me on Twitter at Ultimagus or find me on the Google Plus as plus Sandy Martin, or you can find me at rootgamer.com with Ultimore at rootgamer.com.
And just remember,
Send your hate mail there.
At the end of the
Yes.
day, beautiful party people, zombie demon hordes of the internets, don't pour water on Jordan because he ends up...
He ends up bouncing.
I'm bouncing.
He's the wicked Jew of the East, man.
Oh,
He
man.
eats bacon. Come.
Hey, I do it through the hole in the sheet, man.
You can do anything through the hole in the sheet.
Oh.